Good evening everyone, my name is Bart and welcome to the third video in my VBA series. Today we're taking a closer look at loops. As said in the introduction video, loops are one of the four cornerstones in VBA. Note that this video assumes that you know what variables are. In this video, I will first explain what loops are. Next, I'll explain the do-while loop. At the end, I will go into the other loop options. Looping means repeating the same code over and over again. In Excel, we often use it to go through a table row by row. There isn't much else to say about it, so let's just go straight to an example. You can find this Excel file below in the description. It's named VBA Beginner 03 Loops. In this example, I want to calculate the gross amount one by one with VBA. I'm sure you all know how to do it with an Excel formula, but let's do it with VBA in order to understand loops. First, we declare our variables. In the table, we can see the net amount, the VAT, and the gross amount. So we write dim C net as currency, dim CVAT as a currency, and dim C gross as currency. Since we're taking data from an Excel sheet, we should add an extra variable for the worksheet. I'm using WS, which stands for worksheet, and we're lucky. Worksheet is an Excel specific data type, so we can just write dim WS as worksheet. I'm also adding a variable named iLoop as an integer. Dim iLoop as integer. You will see in a second what its purpose is. So we have all the variables, now let's give them some content. Worksheet is an object, just like workbook or range. Whenever we put a value into an object, we have to first write set. So in this case, do set WS equals active sheet. This will automatically take the active sheet in the active workbook. The next variable I will give content is the iLoop, and I'm setting it to 2. The reason why is I want to start the loop at the second row because the first row is the header. Next we have cnet equals, well, we want to take the 99.99 from the Excel sheet, so we write the Excel sheet dot, we go down and find cells, and now we open the brackets, and at this point the Visual Basic Editor will tell us what to write here. So it is the row and the column index. The row, instead of writing 2, I will write the iLoop, and the column index, either you write the number of the column, which would be 2, or you write the letter. In this case it's P, but if you write a letter you have to do it in quotes. And we close the brackets. And we do the same for the VAT. At this point we gave all the variables besides C gross some content. So let's do C gross as well. I will leave some space between it just to show that 1, we have declaring variables, 2, we have putting data in variables, and 3, it's the actual process, which in this case the calculation of the gross amount. Now we want to return this amount in our Excel worksheets. So we write again active sheet, or double S in this is our variable. We select cells, there we go, open the bracket, iLoop, and we want to put it in the D column, equal C gross. We declared all our variables on top, then we put some content in our variables, next we had the calculation, and finally we return the result of the calculation. So let's press F5 and see the result. In cell D2 we get 120.99, which is the result of this calculation. Unfortunately, it's only for one row. So what we want to do is we want the same for the other rows. We could, for example, change this to a 3, and when we run it again, we have the third row. But this is not the ideal way of working, so we will use a loop. This is the code which we have to repeat for every row. So this is what I will write in between our loop. Every loop consists of 2 parts, one on top and one at the bottom. Do while on top, and loop at the bottom. Do all these things while a certain thing is true. So what should be true? Well, we take our active sheets, take the cells, I loop A is not empty. For empty you can write either VB null string or you can write this. I prefer the VB null string. If we were to run this code, and please don't, then the following would happen. We start on top, we get our variables here, we put some information in two of them. Next we check whether cell 2A over here is empty. It's not empty, so we continue. We get our information, we do the calculation, we return the amount. Next we go up again, and again we check whether A2 is empty. So what we have to do, it's really important, is we have to increase the number of I loop. So we do I loop equals I loop plus 1. Simple as that. Now we press F5 and we get everything we wanted. So whenever you have some code which has to repeat, use a loop. It will make your code shorter and clearer. I hope that the do while loop is clear. If not, please take a look at the Excel file below, watch this video again, or just Google it. If all is clear, then I'll briefly go into the other options. Number 1, the do until loop. This one is very similar to the do while loop. Instead of continuing while the condition is true, the do until loop stops when the condition becomes true. Let's change our existing code to a do until loop. I will delete the amounts which we returned from the previous run. If I were to run this little macro, not much would happen. Let's try. I pressed F5, nothing happened. Why? Because it checks this condition. Do until cell A2, in this case, in the first case, is not nothing. Well, it isn't nothing, it's customer A, so we have to change this to an equal. So do all these code until the row in column A is nothing. Let's try again, let's press F5. And it worked. Option 2, the do while loop and the do until loop. I know it sounds the same, but what I actually mean is the following. We cut this whole part, but we leave the do, and we paste it behind loop. I will delete the output from the previous run and run again. You might not see much of a difference, but there is one small important difference. In the previous case, it was possible to return nothing. If the condition wasn't true, then nothing was returned. In this case, the condition is only checked after the first run is done. So even if this was false, if you write this, it still should return the first value. And it does. The same goes for the do while loop. Perfect. And last of all, there is the for next. This one is quite different. We write for here and next at the bottom. In this loop, we let the variable run until the goal is set. For a variable equals the first row we want to start from, in this case is 2, to 13, which is the last row of our table. Now, since we're setting the variable over here, we don't need this line anymore. And this next at the end will automatically increment the I loop, which means it will do exactly what this line is doing, so we can delete it as well. The downside of this loop is that we need to know what is the last line. In this case, I will keep it to just looking at our table and writing 13. But there are multiple ways to find out what the last row is, so that's not a big problem. I will delete the output from the previous run and run the for next loop. You have seen now what a loop is, how to use it, and which options there are. Personally, I always use the for next loop, unless there is a very good reason why not to. In the next video, we will take a closer look at conditionals. Remember, I will always try to provide you with some data to work with and sample code whenever it's sensible to do so. If you have any questions, please write them down below in the comment section. For now, have a good day and I will see you later.